for once, I am going to say this. Not only am I going to say it, but I'm going to say it and I'm going to mean it. Kind of. Sort of. Not really. Actually, you know what? Not at all. How about them Cowboys? Seriously. How about them Cowboys? I mean, did anybody see them going 2-1 after Dak went down on opening night? Not even Jera, who is always optimistic. Not even Jera, who thinks that he can circumcise a mosquito.
Circumcising the mosquito.
I think my guy, Michael Irvin, summed it up best last night as only the playmaker can. Preach, Mike! Preach, Mike! Preach, playmaker! Trust is pretty strong. But how do you take anything away from Cooper Rush this morning? He has been incredibly solid as a backup, totally serviceable as a backup, getting the job done as a backup, and fortunately for the Cowboys, as a solid backup. That's all they needed to beat the Giants, of course, because the other team's quarterback was none other than Danny Turnovers, or Danny getting the crap beat out of him. He took a pounding last night, didn't he? And the rest of the Giants looked even worse than Daniel interceptions, somehow. And that pretty much tells you all you need to know about them. So the playmaker is right. Rush deserves some love. I got to admit, more than I gave him on earlier podcast, Jim Rome's Pro or Big Head Bets. He deserved more credit than I gave him. The guy does throw a really nice ball. He does stand in. He makes plays. You know, last night, though, was just as much about the current Cowboys, number 88, as it was about their backup quarterback, because damn, what a bumpy ride that was for CeeDee Lamb last night. After he literally, hate to use the phrase, especially early in the morning on CBS, hate to use the phrase, but you find another phrase which better describes what he did when he dropped that wide-ass open pass that would have gone for 6. My man peed down his leg on national TV when he dropped that wide-open ball in the second quarter. At that point, all of Dallas was ready to rip that 88 right off his back. Not just a drop pass, but that drop pass. I mean, one of the worst drops ever. Cowboys Twitter, needless to say, was coming hard for this dude. And so is everybody else who had taken the Cowboys and the point. Understandably so, because it really was one of the worst drops ever. And if dropping that pass when he dropped that pass, when he was that wide-ass open, weren't bad enough, he did what those two just made reference to. He made the unforgivable mistake of cracking a smile while jogging back to the huddle. Good luck ever coming back from that. And I don't mean like later in the game. I mean later in life. Good luck ever coming back from that. And then yet somehow, miraculously, that's exactly what he did. Because the best way to make people forget an all-time gag job moment, and that was too. That was an all-time gag job moment. I'm watching that game thinking to myself, if they end up losing by a point, can you imagine after that play? But the best way to bounce back from an all-time drop, an all-time gag moment like that, is to bounce back with the best drive of your career, which is exactly what happened to him in the fourth quarter. CeeDee had 4 catches in that decisive Cowboys TD drive. And he finished it off with the single best snag of his career thus far. Westwood won, and do not sleep on that play he made on 4th down where he took a pretty big shot. So that CeeDee TD was pretty much all the Cowboys needed last night because the Giants' offense was straight garbage. Starting with Danny interceptions, looking just like the Danny interceptions we know so well in primetime. Danny Duds is the only quarterback less reliable than Kirk Cousins under the bright lights. And that's not some hot take. That's a hot fact. Dude is 0-9. 0-9 in his career in primetime, which to me is nearly as impressive as it is pathetic. Then again, that is who he is. That's what he does. That's where he lives. Oh, and yes, he did get the crap beat out of him last night, too, because that O-line in front of him was just as bad as he was. DeMarcus Lawrence straight up abused Evan Neal, a.k.a. the 7th overall pick in last year's April draft. Lawrence had 3 sacks, and according to PFF, he managed 9 pressures in only 39 snaps. In all, Danny Duds was pressured 24 times last night, the most pressures of any quarterback this season. In other words, Danny Defective was straight up running for his life last night, which definitely does not help Danny Defective be effective. The Giants barely had a clean play in this game. Saquon had a nice run. Saquon looks like Saquon. Great. It's not going to save them. It's not going to save their season. It's not going to win them a game. They barely had a clean play. And then when they did, they just went ahead and dropped the ball. Like, you got to love Kenny Galladay's act, right? You got to love this dude. He's in year 2 of a 4-year, $72 million deal. He had 0 touchdowns last year. He barely played in the first 2 weeks this year, but then spent last week running his mouth. Amazing timing, my man. Amazing timing. You come out, you make it about you when you're on the most surprising 2-0 team ever. Like, dude, read the room. If you're not going to catch anything, at least be the team guy. At least read the room. At least know that you're the most shocking 2-0 ever. But all right, fine. Maybe he makes his point. Maybe they put him out there. Maybe he balls out Monday night and leads his team to a big win over a rival. Maybe he's fired up. Maybe he's got something to prove. Or maybe he catches 0 balls on 3 targets with 2 drops. Maybe that's what happens. And of course, that's exactly what happened. The rest of the Giants were so terrible last night, they actually made Danny Ducks seem average. And that is not easy to do. They were also so terrible last night, they made Cooper Rush look like a bleeping star, which is exactly what Jarrah was hoping for last week when he manufactured a quarterback controversy to get people to look at what's left of his face. Okay. I tell you what, man, I don't know what's going faster. His mental faculties or his face. I mean, this dude, he should have learned a long time ago. Be careful what you wish for, Jarrah. Because now the Cowboy fan has felt the rush. They may actually agree with the old man. They may actually think that they do have a quarterback controversy. And believe me, if they played the Giants every single week, they would have a quarterback controversy. Even if Dak is on a 4-year, $160 million deal. I don't know if Jerry forgot about that. Probably. As for the Giants, tough times, yo. Tough times. You had 3-0. 3-0, the G-Men. 3-0 right in your hands, and Golladay lost it. And then you lost your most reliable receiver, Sterling Shepard, for the rest of the year. And Danny dumping his pants
you have a big dump in
is still your quarterback. But if you're thinking your life sucks, imagine being this guy. My man Chris Long, who is our most recent podcast guest on episode 236 of the Jim Rome podcast, posted the following picture. If I can get this up. There it is on CBS Sports Network. Check that dude out. He tweeted, quote, this is Chris now, quote, I like to think about this guy calmly sitting in traffic on the ride home. End of quote. If you're listening, I'll lay it out for you. If you're watching, you see exactly what we're talking about. Blue guy, face, head, everything painted bright blue as in a Giants helmet. His head is a helmet. It's all paint. Yeah, blue guy's got to be having a hell of a morning, right? That blue is seriously caked on. It's going to take several showers, if not a chisel, to get that paint off. At best, after several washes and a fire hose, maybe you get it to like a shade of turquoise for work today. Or maybe you ask your boss if it's cool to keep it like this. Hey, can I just rock this, boss, for another couple of weeks? Or check that, another couple of days. Can I at least rock it like this to get to Halloween? Or if the answer is no, my man can take a red eye to Vegas and be a Blue Man Group groupie. Start banging on some paint buckets outside the Luxor. Be like fake Klay Thompson and take pics with tourists. Clown security. Go backstage. I mean, my man, did you clear the entire blue aisle at Sherwin-Williams before the game? And if you're going to do that, you better win. You talk about wearing an L. You talk about wearing an L. Forever. Forever. For life. I'm telling you, man, the JT is bad. I never even had it. I never even had it until somebody pointed it out. Or maybe I had it and I didn't know I had it until you know it exists. Man, how about Jerry just sitting up there like, yep. I think we got ourselves a quarterback controversy. Not after beating the Giants. However, Cooper Rush is nice, and he is 3-0 lifetime. 1-800-636-8686. Anybody want to react to that game? Can you imagine the Giants? You want to talk rarefied air. Can you imagine Brian Daboll having those guys at 3-0? And it was right there for them. And for the Cowboys, credit for the win, I guess. But I'm telling you, that is one extremely poorly coached team. Cooper Rush cannot save their season or salvage their season because Big Fat Mike is going to ruin it. You know he will. You know he will. Rush has got a nice arm, but he can't outthrow his coach. But they survived, they advanced, they get the win, and they got the big head and I paid. And after all, that's what matters.